and I don't know if we should apologise, but that was actually the Demi Lovato Let It Go.
Yeah, unfortunately. All it said on my screen was Frozen Let It Go, so I just presumed
it was the Menzel one.
Yes, and I presumed wrong. But I wish I had presumed right.
I don't think the Lovato version is quite as terrible as some...
No, but it's a bit too poppy, I think.
It takes away from some of the magic of the original song.
We'll try again next week.
There you go. Anyway, spoilers.
Yes.
Captain America. I think the first, there were two very, very major plot points that I think were worth discussing in some detail. The first one, they hinted it in the trailers and the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fury gets in trouble.
He gets in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
At the stage where he's almost dead, kind of trouble.
And to spoilers, for all intents and purposes, is dead.
Yes.
For I'd say 50% of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this because it's one of the first. I thought this whole ambush sequence was expertly done.
It was such a cool sequence of events.
Even down to the little details when he asked the AI on his computer, so what's not broken? And it's like...
The air conditioning is fully functional.
100% functional. And it was like, window integrity, 19%.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just the little details like that made this sequence... It's like it's what Nick Fury has been practically the one indestructible character throughout all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And yet now here he is
being
being
The real masterful thing about this sequence was from the moment it started, you got a genuine sense that he was in danger, obviously climaxing with the car flipping over.
I just want to say, who is so cool that they have a turret in their car? It just popped up. Like, oh wow, this is cool. You just don't see that in everyday life. It's like, press a button, machine gun pops out from the center console. What? I loved this scene. There was right from the off, you were like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Oh no. And I did think it was one of the coolest sequences in the film, obviously beside the whole third act.
Yeah. That was just cool in general.
Yeah.
You could argue that it was just kind of things punching each other, but it was well executed.
It was. It was very well executed.
I think also the whole kind of Nick Fury death thing was, I was thinking throughout the film, okay, they killed him off, but he's not actually dead, because that would annoy more people, would annoy even more people than the twist with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. So it wasn't a huge surprise when they brought him back, but I know you felt differently, but I kind of thought that the way they explained his kind of how he was able to stay alive was a little bit.
It was a bit of a wimpy kind of. Oh, this is how we did it.
Yeah.
No, I had unfortunately seen before the film an interview with him where they were speaking about things that I can't exactly remember what the trailer was about. It was possibly...
Well, they have that shot in the trailer where it's him and Black Widow kind of looking through the operating room glass. So it was kind of hinted at.
There was an interview with Sam Jackson. I think it was on funny bits in the film where they kind of messed up a little bit and they all had a bit of a laugh, like pranks and stuff. And he was joking about how he had 3 more films to do in his contract, and he was expecting them to phone him in the next few days to renew the contract for an extra bulk of films. So at that point, I'd kind of like, all right, so he's not dead in this film. He's gonna survive it until the end. So that kind of ruined it a little bit for me. As soon as I
hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I kind of saw that and I was like, all right, well, as soon as he died in the film, I was like, right, well, he's coming back. That's kind of sorry.
The real surprise for me was that they actually gave Black Widow something to do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Black Widow stuff in this film. She definitely became a more fleshed out character than just run around in a leather catsuit and shoot things.
And like I said in the non-spoiler section, this makes me much more confident that a Black Widow movie could happen.
Yeah, I think with a Black Widow movie though, they would have to include Hawkeye. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and there would need to be major cameos from all the main heroes, I think, as well. Not big ones, just inserts.
They've tried to get that off the ground for ages, but apparently it's no longer in development.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Black Widow is that we began to see her development in Avengers, where she was kind of Hulk's right-hand woman. And
there's that sequence in it where he's kind of hulking out and she's trying to calm him down.
Yeah. And then in this one, you really did continue to see her as more of a human than just, she had feelings and emotions, and she had actual, she was trying to set Captain America up on dates all the time and stuff like that. And it was one of those things where you'd never seen that before, and it was quite refreshing that we got to see it this time.
Although it's not necessarily a problem with the film, but the sequence in which they go to the Genius Bar is like...
That's hilarious. I loved that.
It's like, it was funny, but it was like, you couldn't have more on-the-nose product placement.
Exactly. But that was such a cool segment in the film. I was sat there being just nerding out and be like, oh, this is so cool and funny. And I was wondering all the way through, is that guy actually an Apple employee? Did they just find the biggest, nerdiest Apple employee with the longest, scraggliest hair, who's completely opposite to Chris, the Captain America guy. Chris Evans, it is Chris. Chris Evans, they could find, and they're like, you're gonna come with us, and you're just gonna interact with these people, okay? Because I loved that scene. It was honestly hilarious.
Yeah. And like I say, for much of the second act, it's just those two on the run, and it's really, really exciting.
I think my favourite part of this film, which is the big spoilery part, is the return of Hydra.
Yeah,
because
I thought that was cool.
This was a film...
And the whole explanation of the theorem, and
it
was really cool.
This was a film which emerged, and it was kind of like, alright, so this is when we first saw the trailers and we first saw Robert Redford's character, everyone was like, okay, so this is a film which is addressing the kind of, the big government is coming to have us all kind of thing. And that was what everyone supposed it was. And it turned out to be a lot deeper than that, and a lot more set in Marvel mythology and lore. And the fact that they brought Hydra back, and that Hydra had never really finished, I find that really, really interesting.
And the fact it was integrated so nicely into the plot of the film also is a major plus. I thought Robert Redford did a good job.
Yeah.
But I kind of he was a good villain.
Yeah, he was. I think he was a little bit underused, though.
Yeah.
And he wasn't up to the par with the villains that we've seen so far in the Marvel world. And okay, I can understand that this was kind of like this is a modern villain. This is someone who could actually...
This is someone who doesn't the Alexander Pierce character doesn't immediately strike you as a villain.
Yeah, he's not like Loki, who has deceitful powers. He's not he's most definitely not the guy from the second Iron Man film, because he was pathetic.
Whiplash, Mickey Rourke.
Yeah. He's not the Mandarin. He's not Guy Pearce. He's none of these people. But he is someone who, in this day and age, could actually be a villain.
Yeah.
He's someone who is using the power of other people to get on top. And that was one of the very interesting things that I found about it. This was a film which managed to succinctly highlight parallels in the real world, but weave superhero mythology into it.
Yeah, and I also really like going on with the Hydra thing, the whole sequence at which they found in which they found the abandoned shield hideout where they come across the Zolo theorem. I just thought all that stuff was really well done. Even, and I hate to say this, Emily Van Camp has a little role in this. I thought she was really good.
She was. I did think she was really good, and I do see her becoming a regular, like Maria Hill.
They say at the end, the Black Widow references that Captain America should go out with her, which suggests she will have a larger role as the MCU goes on. And I have to say, I mean, as much as I personally like Revenge, I kind of thought, okay, kind of she's done this kind of cheesy kind of action hero, but I admit that for the first three scenes, it's just like, ooh, the character of Emily Thorne's turned up. But as soon as she was in the kind of apartment, firing the gun, holding the gun, you completely forgot about that. She was really good.
She was really good. Now, obviously, we also have to speak about the ending.
Which is probably, I think, even more than Mandarin Twist, certainly the most daring thing they've possibly done. The ending kind of goes that the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. organization was aligned with the Insight Project and Hydra. So in the third act,
S.H.I.E.L.D. falls.
Yeah, and essentially, is essentially no more in the Marvel universe. Obviously, Nick Fury's still alive,
but he's also dead. Or at least most people think he is. I do want to know how that.
I like the little touch that he replaced his eye patch with a pair of sunglasses.
Yes. I will be interested to see how the interaction between, or what will happen when Iron Man and Thor and Hawkeye all discover he's not actually dead. Because it's only Captain America and the Falcon which know this.
Yeah.
And Maria Hill. They're the only people who don't know that he's dead, along with Scarlett Johansson.
I have to say, I was also interested in how this may or may not affect Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I'm much more forgiving of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than some people. I enjoyed the pilot, but at this point, apart from the last episode going by the UK pace, the Tracks one, which I actually really enjoyed, I'm kind of watching it out of, because I watch everything Marvel, but it could be called Agents of Bland Characters, Agents of Sky is really, really annoying, but whatever I say, it's turned that actress into a star, so she doesn't care. But surely, particularly because the last episode, the train one, was actually really, really good, and it was the first episode since the pilot that I really, really enjoyed. I was kind of thinking, surely the writers must have known that this was coming.
Yeah. I do wonder how... I wonder if maybe, like Nick Fury, they're going to go a little bit rogue and do their own thing. And that's possibly where Emily Van Camp's going to come in, and she might be a bigger part of that now. I must say, we do now have to speak about the mid-credit
and end credit.
Now, I horribly have forgotten what the mid-credit sequence was. I can remember what the end credit one is.
Yeah, the mid-credit scene was you go back to the kind of Hydra base, and they have the Loki Spectre from the Avengers, and essentially the important thing is you get your first look at the Avengers versions of, because the Hydra like employees have been have been like given experiments, and the 2 experiments that they have contained are the Avengers versions of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. It's a very cool cameo.
Yeah, you don't get to see that much of Quicksilver because he's just kind of spinning around.
He's being Quicksilver.
But
you can tell that it's a cool kind of character.
Elizabeth, you get a nice shot of Elizabeth Olsen
doing her
banging
magic.
2 rocks together and displaying her powers. So yeah, I thought the mid-credit scene was cool. The end credit scene was just kind of there in the, oh, he's alive.
Yeah.
I thought that was already common knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I think it was more he's now trying to find out who he actually is, and I think that could be the basis for future Captain America films.
Last thing, one little problem I had. There's a sequence in it fairly early on where, in the modern day, Captain America goes to see an old Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
I didn't buy this sequence at all because it just looked like they slopped a bunch of old age makeup on Hayley Atwell.
Was that Hayley Atwell? Because I couldn't tell.
It was. I think it was her voice, but don't quote me on it.
Yeah.
I just didn't buy the fact she was... actually, me and my brother were having a discussion after the film about exactly how old she'd be.
Yeah, she must be a fair age.
Yeah.
Because she's maybe 25 in the first film, and then it's 70 years, so she's got to be 95, almost.
And I totally... If that's what it's meant to be, I totally didn't buy it.
Yeah.
That was the one sequence in the film that, for me, didn't work at all. But yeah, 9 out of 10, easily.
Oh, most definitely. I would push it 9.5 maybe. Interestingly enough, I saw it in 3D, and the 3D is very cool, especially when those shield helicarriers fall to bits.
And another problem, there was a little bit of shaky cam.
A little bit, but it wasn't too extreme.
Particularly in the elevator scene.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, like you said.
But that's so cool.